There's been an awful lot of talk this season about West Ham doing well and being able to entice Declan Rice to stay on for another year. Maybe even sign a new contract. I don't know. What I think has almost happened, because you don't always sort of notice small change, but there has been a metamorphosis from the start of the season and expectation up to now. And so it's not just West Ham's attractiveness in keeping a player like Declan Rice. It's also how we may become more attractive to other players. I will use the Sevilla forward Youssef En-Nesyri as an example, because number one, he's coveted by David Moyes. We know he likes him. David Moyes has even openly said that we'd put in a bid for him. And he plays at Sevilla, who have done very, very well in Europe in recent years and are a good established La Liga team. It's somebody like that that might be attracted to West Ham. Because when I talk about metamorphosis, it really is quite stark. You've only got to look back to the start of this season when our main transfer target was James Tarkowski. And I thought we pursued that transfer for far too long. He had subtly and politely, let's put it that way, let it be known that he didn't want to come to West Ham. But we'd still come back with a bid. We'd bid 27 million. He'd sort of indicated he didn't want to come. We'd come back with 28 million or whatever the case may be. But if you look back at the videos we were doing at the time, I certainly was very sure that he didn't want to. And then listening to the radio and reading certain articles, he didn't want to. He wanted Champions League football, if you remember. And I do wonder if he regrets that now, which sort of plays a little bit of a part in it, because his expectations have changed, and probably following the start to the season, so have Burnley's. But my point is, West Ham were not seen as a viable option for him. This was a guy who's played for England and clearly wanted to get his place back in the England team. Not that it ever was solidly his place, but he had played there, and certainly, if he had faith in his own ability, would feel that if he knuckled down, if he got a starting role in a club that was competing in the top half of the Premier League, that maybe, just maybe, he could be the partner for Harry Maguire or whatever the case may be. Whether he regrets it or not is by the by. I'm pretty sure he looks at it now and he looks at Craig Dawson and look what he's done, and looks at West Ham and thinks, damn it, maybe I should have gone. However, what's it do, as I say, to those other players going forward? Because the perception of the club, not just the perception, the reality of the club and our standing in the game has certainly risen so much that we are now an attractive proposition. I think certainly, were we to go in for Tarkowski next season at the same point, regardless of whether we finish 4th, 5th, 6th or 7th, he's going to say, actually, that is a club that I would like to join. That is a club that's going to, if we play well, get some European football. Hopefully, it's going to be in the top half of the Premier League, and it's going to catch the eye of England manager Gareth Southgate, unless Gareth Southgate has a stinker in the summer and gets sacked, of course. Now, what it also does is it highlights the Declan Rice situation. Now, I think it's really good for West Ham that Declan Rice is selected for England, and that's great, but maybe you could just look at it and you could think of that as an isolated incident. Maybe that's just Declan Rice is an exceptional player, a one-off, and Gareth Southgate was going to do it anyway because he wanted him to pledge his allegiance from Ireland to England. But with the inclusion of Jesse Lingard, I think it even heightens the concept that West Ham are a club that you can go to if you want to play international football. And did you see, by the way, Jesse Lingard rocked up for England training his West Ham, I don't know if we call it a shell suit, his West Ham attire, let's say, which I thought was really nice, and really nice touch. And clearly there's a guy that has integrated himself really well into West Ham. And I know we're sort of trying to read between the lines and looking at the signs and hoping that he does sign a permanent contract with us. But a lot of what you see and hear from Jesse is very, very promising. But the fact that he is able to get back into the England setup is really, really good. So that's 2 senior players in the England team. One of them highly likely to start. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, because there are 3 games and we will be covering those games on this channel, by the way. I'm not sure in what sort of format we're going to do it, but we will be covering the England games. I don't know whether it's watch-alongs, whether it's reviews or whatever. Probably not previews. Maybe it's just a general chat about it. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like us to do, and we'll sort of decide once everybody's put their comments there. But because there's 3 games, I think Jesse Lingard is going to feature. I would think in at least one of them. I was going to say I hope so, but you don't want anybody to get injured, do you? But you don't want to deny him. You don't want to deny him that. But I just think it completely changes our transfer strategy. And I like the fact that Moyes has aimed high. And I mean that with this Tarkowski. I don't think we need him, and I don't want him now, by the way, because, as I've said, look, what would he cost? 30 odd million? Well, we didn't get him for 30. They wanted 50. There's absolutely no way. How much better is James Tarkowski than Craig Dawson? Can't be that much better. And let's be fair, if we can sign Virgil van Dawson, I was trying to remember the nickname then, for £2.5 million. Why would we want to go and do anything else? That's absolutely what we should do. However, I like it that he set his bar high, a £30 million player, an England international. I like that with the guy at Sevilla as well. Now, Erling Haaland at Borussia Dortmund is probably, alongside Mbappe, the highest profile, or the most wanted hot property in European football or in world football at the moment. I think that's fair to say. The rumour is if Haaland goes and signs for Man City, Man United, or whoever else might want him, then En-Nesyri at Sevilla is the chosen one. Well, look, if we're in a bidding battle in competition with Borussia Dortmund, forget it. You're going to go to Dortmund, aren't you? And let's be fair, who can blame him? But that is how highly he is rated, and that is how highly he is respected. And even if we don't get him, I like the ambition of doing that. But my point is now, these type of players are going to be looking at West Ham very, very differently. You wouldn't put it past him. You wouldn't hold it against him, let's say, if in the winter transfer window, because we know we made a bid, when his agent came to him and said, "Oh, West Ham have made a bid for you," he turned around and said, "West who? Who are they?" You couldn't blame him. Oh, it's fine. Now he'll know. I mean, he really will know. The eyes of the European game. Footballers generally watch football, apart from Andy Carroll, apparently. They will know that what's happened in the Premier League this season. People look at the different leagues that have seen would have been in and around the top 4. Maybe they'll watch the Arsenal game, hopefully just the first half. But he would now be looking at it thinking, well, it's not West Ham or West Who anymore. It's okay, they're the guys, aren't they? Yeah, they're a very, very good team. They've got Declan Rice plays from, Jesse Lingard plays from. I wonder how many he could name, actually. I don't know. Whatever. He probably knows Ben Rama. To be fair, there's probably a few other high-profile players that have international status, maybe Ogbonna as well. But he would probably look and he'd think, okay, there's a club that is a viable alternative, because that's what they want. Can this club offer me European football? We know we can do the wages. We've paid silly wages to players that ain't worth it for quite some time. I don't mean all of them, but, you know, look, if we can pay Chicharito 140 grand a week, we can go and beat whatever wages Sevilla are paying. As I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's video, I do also think that the fallout from the COVID, the financial implications, have yet to hit. We've yet to see it. So I do think those prices of those players are going to come down. Funny enough, talking about Haaland, if you remember, it was about a year or so ago, did Man United bid 108 million for Jadon Sancho or something like that? I think it was then rejected and they were asking for more. They wouldn't get more now. I certainly think the prices will have gone down. So I think in terms of wages, we can match it. In terms of transfer fee, well, that's a little bit harder to gauge. We know that there is a loan facility that's available to West Ham. We know that David Moyes was offered 20 odd million to sign a striker in the winter window. He said, no, I want to save it to the summer. And we also know that if we finish 10 places higher than we did last season, which is highly likely, or thereabouts anyway, and we're going to earn between 15 and 20 million pound more than we'd initially budgeted for, as we discussed already. So the financing shouldn't be a problem. I think there should be money in there to get Lingard and then to get this striker. But the point is, we are now attractive. We are now going to be able to say to those guys, look, we're not a relegation team. Come to West Ham We've got good players, we've got international players, we're a team on the up, and to say to the player, you will improve us. You will be the final part of the jigsaw, or whatever flannel you've got to say to get a deal over the line. I'm sure there's quite a lot of nice flannellery. Flannellery? I don't know if that's a word. There's quite a lot of smoke that can be blown up someone's bottom to encourage them to sign. But if you've already got good players there, and you're saying, come on, look at Souček, look at Declan Rice there, look at Jesse Lingard, look at our team, it's absolutely fantastic. We've got our defender, Aaron Cresswell's the best assister in the league from defence. You can say all these things. We can give you a supply. You're going to look at it and you're going to think, okay, I can go for it because it's believable. If you turn around to this player and say, this season, we're going to be going for European football, he's going to think, okay, yeah, great. Even better than that, what if you're already in European football? I mean, at that point, I just think you do have a hell of an advantage then. I think it's really, really interesting. I also think, and it's not just these big stellar signings as well. It's when these freebies and when these loans come up, because people are going to be trying to cut their wage bill. There'll be players on clubs' wage bills who they would have previously valued at 10, 15 million pounds. Okay, I'll give you an example. Felipe Anderson, right? Forgot about him, haven't we? I had anyway. Felipe Anderson is probably on our balance sheet as a 36 million pound asset. Probably less because his contract's run down, but there's no way we're getting that for him. We're probably not getting 20 million pound for him. He hasn't fitted in at West Ham. It hasn't really worked out. There will be a Felipe Anderson equivalent at other clubs. And I don't mean in terms of attitude. I don't mean that. I mean somebody that they value on the balance sheet as quite high, but they're never going to sell now. That they will probably be quite keen to get off the wages and do a loan deal or do something with. In fact, it may well be much like the Jesse Lingard deal. Jesse Lingard was a loan deal. It was a damn good one. Thomas Souček was a loan deal. It was a damn good one. So I do think that we are able to encourage players over, not just the big signings, but also these other guys. And I just think that when they take a look, when they look at West Ham, when Moisey rocks up with his tray of vegetables and fruit, of course, don't forget the fruit, that they may well turn around and say, mate, I don't understand what you're saying, but I've heard of West Ham and you're a good team.